Oil giant Saudi Aramco has reported a 30% surge in net profit for the first quarter. The lifting of lockdowns and the resumption of global trade following months of slowdown caused by the coronavirus pandemic are driving up international oil prices. That's helping oil companies, including Aramco, make some slick gains. And the rising cash flow could stabilise the kingdom's economy after a rocky 2020. Mobin Nasir reports.
It's all hands on deck at Saudi Aramco's oil fields. Demand for the fossil fuel fell by 10% last year as industrial activity and trade plummeted due to COVID-19. Now, as many countries reopen for business, energy demand is spiking, helping oil majors like BP, Shell and ExxonMobil raise earnings back to pre-pandemic levels.
The statistics are pretty clear that those that vaccinate are on the path of recovery. So the way we see it is that we have a rolling recovery. We remain bullish and optimistic that oil prices can move up.
Aramco's net income rose 30% to $21.7 billion in the first quarter, significantly higher than analysts' expectation of $19.5 billion. That's on the back of higher oil prices, which have surged more than 30% so far this year. The company also slashed its capital spending by 20% to $35 billion. And it's paying out almost $19 billion in dividends, most of which will go to its largest shareholder, the Saudi government. Riyadh plans to channel an even larger chunk of Aramco's future earnings into a new initiative called Shareek, which facilitates domestic investments to grow other industries. And it's selling part of the company to foreign investors in a bid to shore up its cash reserves.
There are talks to sell a 1% stake to a major energy company in the world, and it will be an important deal to strengthen Aramco's sales in a country where that company is stationed. I can't say the name of this country, but it's a huge country. If they got 1%, that would strengthen Aramco's industry in Saudi Arabia and the request for Aramco's products in that country where the company bought the share.
Aramco's coffers may fill up further because OPEC members and other major oil producers are ramping up output from this month after implementing voluntary cuts since July 2020. This could help the Saudi government pay off debt, which surged by 50% last year on higher stimulus spending, and fuel a recovery in its sputtering economy. Mobin Nasir, TRT World.
Well, let's get more on this now with Wald, who joins us from Jacksonville in Florida. She's president of Transversal Consulting and author of the book Saudi Inc. Good to have you back with us, Ellen. Now, an impressive first quarter result for Saudi Aramco, a jump of 30% in profit. Was this all due to the fact that oil prices have recovered and are continuing to recover?
Yes, a large part of the increase was definitely due to higher oil prices. If you compare where oil prices were this past quarter, Aramco had a realized oil price of $60 a barrel, and last quarter in 2020. And if you'll recall, the first part of that quarter wasn't all that bad. We didn't really hit the bad part until the beginning of March, but still the average realized oil price was about $51 a barrel. So higher oil prices have definitely played a role, but also they did very well, have had good margins on chemical sales. That's also something that we've seen in other oil companies across the world, and also in oil trading as well.
Now, it was just a little over a year ago that Brent crashed to below $20 a barrel. US crude, as we know, had an even worse time, going into negative territory for the first time ever. So Brent, as you pointed out, has now recovered. It's almost $68 as we go to air right now. Do you expect the recovery in oil prices to continue? Will prices just keep on getting higher at this point?
Well, I do think that we are looking at higher oil prices, but I don't think that we're necessarily a straight shot up or continuing a shot up. I do think that we've kind of settled on a floor, perhaps, but they definitely have to look forward to better oil prices. But also keep in mind that Saudi Aramco really curbed its oil production in this past quarter. They were averaging about 8.6 million barrels a day of production, and that's significantly less than they were producing last year at this time. And that's also going to start to grow gradually over the next quarter. So that will also help to increase their profits probably next quarter as well.
Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman did create a bit of excitement last week when he revealed that Saudi Arabia was in talks with an unspecified company from an unspecified country in selling a 1% stake of Saudi Aramco. Any idea which company that might be, and why would it be looking to sell a portion of it right now?
Well, I think that most people are probably understand that he's talking about China and probably a large investment company in China, perhaps one that's affiliated with a Chinese oil company, which makes a lot of sense because China is Aramco's primary customer, and they do a lot of business in China. They have a lot of joint ventures in China, and China contracts for a lot of Aramco's crude. So it's understandable that perhaps this is what's being discussed. What's interesting, though, is that sale of 1% of the company has definitely been talked about since even before Aramco went public. So it's not a new thing. But what's interesting is that if you look at some of Aramco's financials this quarter, you can see perhaps where the impetus or the push to get this sale going and reap these benefits for Saudi Arabia comes from, because if you look at the amount that the government is actually taking in taxes, it hasn't changed all that much. But the government situation is not as good as it has been. The report mentioned that there are debts that need to be paid down. There's stimulus that needs to be put into the economy. And so based on this, you can see where that push to maybe sell off some of Aramco's assets is coming from. At the same time, though, Aramco doesn't necessarily appear to be suffering from this. They spent quite a bit on CapEx, much better than other companies, other major oil companies at the time. And if they continue spending this amount on CapEx, it doesn't seem like the burdens are affecting Aramco's ability to expand and grow all that much.
Okay, Ellen Wald, we will have to leave it there, but thank you for your analysis as always. We appreciate it.